What's going on, everybody? It's your observant lineman here, Uche Nwaneri. The NFL. I mean, we all remember the days as children when we would play outside in the wintertime when the weather was cold, it was brisk, and you would play, pretending like, if you were me, growing up in Texas, pretending like, there was a snow game going on and you guys are trying to march down the field to win the game. The blizzard is just swirling. You can barely see. You would see these games on TV during the wintertime, especially for me as a kid. And I would be like, wow, that looks like so much fun to be out there playing football in the elements. I mean, it's such a crazy and exciting thing. Something that the NFL something that's really been a part of the NFL as a tradition since the beginning. You playing these cold weather games, you playing these adverse weather games, and it kind of makes it that much sweeter, the victory that a team can pull out in those kind of environments. And that's just something that, for me, again, is unique to the NFL. It kind of separates the NFL from other sports in that you do have the elements themselves playing a factor in the game. It's something that I think a lot of people have come to just kind of associate with the sport itself. But today, seeing a little change with that because the NFL has decided that they are not going to play the Browns-Bills game in Buffalo, in Western New York, because of an impending snowstorm. Now, this snowstorm is a big boy. Let's make no mistake.
Well, one city that could see some historic snow is going to be Buffalo, New York. Let's take a live look this morning over in Buffalo, which, by the way, is where Buffalo Wild Wings originally started, by the way.
Yeah, the National Weather Service using some pretty strong language in their forecast discussion, calling it potentially a crippling event. And so we're about 2 days out from when this is really going to get ramped up.
This snowstorm is supposed to provide around 6 feet of snow. And, many people have been kind of looking at this and saying, hey, we're going to get one of those games this year. We're going to get a big-time snow game. There's going to be no way to tell where anyone is on the field. Somehow they're going to be able to keep up with the game and know where to mark the ball and know what the yard line is. But you won't be able to see a thing because it's going to be a winter wonderland when the Buffalo Bills and the Browns play, much like it was when the Colts went to Buffalo and played against them a few years back. I mean, LaShawn McCoy was the running back. He was the star of that game. He had a lot of yards running the ball. He actually won the game for them, I believe, in overtime. It was a crazy game with a lot of highlight plays in the snow. Really good for ratings, really good for TV. And the NFL's decided to go against that. So we're seeing the reports come out now from Buffalo. Here's a tweet that they released about an hour ago saying, due to public safety concerns and out of an abundance of caution in light of the ongoing weather emergency in Western New York, Sunday's game against the Browns will be moved to Ford Field. I mean, talk about a complete contrast in flavor here. This is a game that's now going to be played indoors at the Detroit Lions field for the Buffalo Bills. That's going to hurt them, I think. Well, I don't think it's going to hurt them as a team. I think it's going to hurt just the environment of that game in particular, because now you're going to have a lot of Buffalo Bills fans having to migrate over from New York to Detroit to watch their team play. It's going to take away that. It's going to make this a really dull game, I feel like. I mean, even with Cleveland fans, this is something that's definitely going to be a little bit out of sorts for everybody involved. And look, I understand where the NFL's coming from, I guess, with how they're doing this. But I got to say, it's not consistent with what we've seen in the past when it comes to these kind of games. The Colts went to Buffalo, played in a similar kind of game. Detroit, a few years before that, everybody remembers Megatron with his face getting packed with snow when he slid to make a catch. These are the kind of games that kind of define the holiday season in the NFL. Hell, even back when I was a kid, I remember when the Dallas Cowboys played against the Miami Dolphins in Dallas, and this was the first time in like forever that it snowed. And there was snow everywhere. And I think the Cowboys actually ended up losing that game off of a field goal because of the way that the snow went crazy that game. Don't hold me to it. Don't remember exactly who won it, but I do remember snow everywhere. And again, that's what makes the NFL unique. Why take away that level of excitement from the fans? The NFL just kind of showing its true colors. They want their money. They want to be able to get, their TV contracts handled. They don't want there to be a delay. They don't want there to be, having to postpone the game an hour or two, because those things can affect their bottom line, of course. But I actually present a contrary argument and say, well, you're probably going to get half the crowd to this game now because it's going to be in Detroit. You're going to have fans who are actually going to have to drive through a snowstorm to get to this place to see the game. So you're not really, this isn't really being done with necessarily the best planning and the best understanding of how you're actually, looking out for the safety of the fans. They're going to have to drive into unfamiliar territory during a snowstorm. And while they may be clear and, by the time they get to Detroit, they still got to go through their own place. So, it's going to make things a lot more difficult for people than maybe it should be. I mean, I would want them to play the game. I think most people would want them to play the game in Buffalo, but, that's the NFL for you. Here's a statement about that game. They're going to be playing in Detroit at 1 p.m. Eastern. Here is the current situation in Buffalo. So, snow hasn't touched down yet, but I'm sure it's getting ready to start kicking off any time now. But also, this is what's happening in Detroit during this week when, they're getting ready to come in there and play a football game. They have an indoor carnival going on right now at Ford Field, and it'll be going on Friday. So this will all have to be dismantled before they can get ready to play that game in Detroit. Now, again, Detroit has a nice, they have a nice stadium. It's not a bad stadium by any stretch. But again, I just kind of feel like this is taking away from what we love about football when it comes to wintertime sports. You got a situation where guys are going to be playing in the elements. Really, this is an important game for Buffalo. It's an important game for Buffalo. They're just coming off a loss to the Minnesota Vikings. We all saw that game of the year contender, probably the game of the year. And this was a game that they needed to lock down and they needed to win. And I feel like being at home, whether it's in the snow or not, always gives you a little bit of an edge in the NFL, gives you a little bit more energy from the outset. If your team's prepared and ready to come in there and play, that's something that can really play into their advantage. And now you're kind of knocking them off of their center. They're going to be a team that's a little bit uncomfortable, which, okay, that's something you want to fight through as well as far as adversity is concerned. But they're going to make this team unnecessarily uncomfortable, in my opinion, by making the team have to kind of shift its schedule and now move into that Friday and that Saturday, and that's being a travel day like it's an away game. So it's going to be something that's going to be different for the players, and that could take them off. That could knock them off their focus coming into this game. And again, this is a team that needs to get this win. They're in a tough division race right now. They need this win. But let me know what you guys think. How do you think the NFL should have handled this? Do you think they handled it well by moving the game? Or do you think the NFL should have probably maybe taken a little bit more precaution and maybe moved the game back a couple of hours, but kept it in Buffalo? I think that, I think a lot of people have an opinion on that because you are kind of affecting the home team in this situation. Leave your comments down below and make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Knock this video up in the YouTube algorithm because, that thing is a hard thing to crack these days. But I do appreciate you guys for coming in and checking out this video, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace out.